I think that you'll find that the 15-page length, plus or minus, but probably plus a page or two at the most, 17, is going to actually be a little tight. That if you wanted to really sort of explain things in a thorough way, you'll want more pages. But that's the pages you have, and I believe it's enough. That is to say, if you're clear and you are writing with an efficient use of words, and you are not making your paper unnecessarily complex and or bringing in too much, it's enough space. Sometimes people think that they wonder how they're going to fill this space. And if you think about the various takeaways that I list, there's a good number of them, and if a page were allocated to each, it would fill 15 pages probably, and some of them are going to have 2, 3, or 4 pages allocated to it, and some of them might have, part of a page. So the page length will be something that you'll want to think about ways of being efficient and clear as you're writing, and this is where the editing process will be helpful as you work on your paper. One of the things that various outlines suggest that one is interested in doing is taking the various metaphors and diagrams, like the spiral or the mindful living flow or the light bulb and flashlight, and explaining that to the reader. Now, you can do that, but in all likelihood, you will run out of pages, and you will end up having it where the thing that I'm most interested in and your reader will most benefit from, which is why practicing mindfulness can be helpful in the areas that you are suggesting it might be helpful, it will give short shrift and or dilute that discussion. Now, some people are inclined to, or just naturally don't give a full immersive consideration to that, because it's actually the most difficult to write about, and it calls for a clear understanding of what we've been doing and why it may be proving to be helpful. So I encourage you, unless you find yourself with a lot of room in your paper that you want to fill with interesting material, to not start writing a page or two here or there on these various metaphors, because I think you'll find that you end up running out of space, or you don't realize when you've filled the space that you've not allocated enough time and attention to very important parts of the paper. If you plan on doing a lot of editing as you go, then sure, I think it's great to write more and then edit down. But importantly, you probably are finding that you want to write about the light bulb and the flashlight and awareness and attention and the mindful living flow and the spiral and the snow globe, or any of these or any others, because you found it to be a source of some insight and offering something that was clarifying. That's why I share it with you, so that it can help us over the course of the semester more fully appreciate at a greater level of depth the practice of mindfulness. I spend many pages explaining the mindful living flow and the light bulb and attention, many pages, and that's why I think that you'll find that the doing of it in your paper, you run the risk that I've mentioned already, or you don't touch it enough, and therefore it isn't as helpful as it could be. This is not suggesting whether you include them, or this isn't dictating whether you do or don't include it in your paper, but it is saying to give thought to that. Some people have done it in ways, maybe mentioning one metaphor or so, and ways that really connect with their paper. So it's really helpful to take everything else and tie it together, and it's played very well. Others have done it, and I've turned 2, 3, 4 pages, and I'm like, okay, that's a really nice discussion of whichever it is, but actually the whole takeaway from that is about 3 sentences of an insight, and maybe some information that ties in with the rest of the paper. And as for reasons I've indicated before, it's an overindulgence in that and an under application of the other.